2026, the motorcycle market is not just slowing down, it is backing up. Sales are down, tariffs have squeezed margins, and dealers are sitting on inventory they cannot move. Every unsold bike costs them money, which means the power just shifted to you. But here's what most riders still do not see. Some of the best deals are not obvious. Today, we are breaking down 15 motorcycles dealers are quietly discounting, what they used to cost, what you can realistically pay right now, and exactly how to negotiate them down even further. So let us get into it. Number 15, Harley-Davidson Street 750. Let us kick this off with a bike that perfectly sums up the chaos in today's market. A machine wearing one of the biggest names in motorcycling, yet quietly collecting dust in the corner. That is the Street 750. On paper, this thing should have been a home run. Harley's attempt to pull in new riders, lighter, more affordable, easier to live with. A liquid-cooled V-twin, low seat, manageable weight, all wrapped in that iconic name. Back when it launched, it sat in that entry-level Harley price zone, positioned as the gateway into the brand. But here is where it all unraveled. To longtime Harley riders, it did not feel like a real Harley. Too light, too refined, missing that raw, heavy presence they expect. And newer riders looked at it, then looked at sharper, more modern machines sitting right next to it, and walked away. So it got stuck. Not loved by purists, not exciting enough for newcomers, and that is exactly why dealers are now stuck with them. Right now, these bikes are being quietly pushed out the door for prices that drop into the low to mid 4,000 range, sometimes dipping even further when inventory has been sitting too long. And here is the part most people miss. It is actually a good motorcycle. That Revolution X engine is smooth, predictable, and incredibly easy to ride. It is comfortable, unintimidating, and perfect for real-world city use. No nonsense, no surprises. Just get on and go. This is not for the die-hard Harley traditionalist. This is for someone who wants the name, the look, and a relaxed cruiser feel without draining their wallet. And when you are negotiating, do not hold back. Dealers know this bike lingers, it ties up space, it slows down cash flow. Use that. Because the Street 750 is not just discounted, it is a warning sign. If you have been waiting for the right moment to buy, instead of overpay, this is it. Hit that like. Because that is exactly what keeps us digging up deals dealers do not want you to notice. And if this is how bad things are at the bottom of the list, what is happening higher up next might actually surprise you. Number 14, Suzuki V-Strom 650. Now this one hits different, because unlike the last bike, this is not some awkward experiment that missed the mark. This is a machine that did almost everything right and still ended up sitting. The Suzuki V-Strom 650 has been a quiet legend for years. A mid-weight adventure bike with a rock-solid reputation, a smooth V-twin engine, upright comfort, and the kind of reliability riders trust with cross-country miles. When it first hit the floor, it lived in that upper mid-range price bracket. Not cheap, but justified. So why is it here? Because in today's market, solid does not sell. Riders started chasing more extreme options, lighter off-road machines, flashier tech, bolder styling. Bikes that look like adventure, even if they never leave pavement. And the V-Strom stayed the same. Honest, practical, unchanged. And that made it invisible. So now these bikes linger. Dealers watch them sit. And prices start to slide, dropping into that mid-5,000 to upper 7,000 range, depending on condition and how long it has been parked. Here's the irony though. This thing is built to last. That 645 cubic centimeter V-twin is smooth on the highway, forgiving in traffic, and known for racking up massive mileage without drama. It does not scream for attention, it just delivers. This is not for trend chasers. It is for riders who actually ride. And when you step into a dealership, use that. Point out the newer bikes stealing the spotlight. Remind them how long these set, then wait. Because the V-Strom did not lose value by being bad, it got left behind. We have already seen how branding and expectations can completely kill a bike's chances of selling. But I am curious, Have you ever passed on a bike just because it did not feel worth the price, even if it was solid? Drop it in the comments. Real buyer. Experiences help everyone here avoid the same mistakes. The V-Strom 650 shows how. Even proven reliability and real-world versatility are not enough to save a bike when the market labels it boring. It is competent, almost too competent, which ironically makes it easier for buyers to overlook while chasing something more distinctive. And that shift in buyer mindset naturally leads to the next step forward, a machine that promises adventure in a smaller, more accessible package, but carries a badge that raises expectations in a completely different way. Number 13, BMW G310 GS. Here is where things take a sharp turn, because this bike did not fail from lack of reputation. It failed in spite of one. The BMW G310 GS rolled in wearing that legendary GS badge, a name tied to world travel, rugged exploration, and premium engineering. It looked the part too. Tall stance, adventure styling, that unmistakable BMW presence. And it came in as one of the most affordable ways to step into that world. So what went wrong? Expectation met reality. Riders saw the badge and expected big performance. But what they got was a small displacement single cylinder that felt fine in the city and a little strained when the road opened up. At the same time, it sat in a price range where stronger, more powerful alternatives were waiting. So buyers paused. And in this market, that pause is deadly, because hesitation turns into inventory. Inventory turns into pressure, and pressure turns into discounts. Right now, these bikes are trading far below what that badge suggests, with used examples dipping into the low to mid 3,000 range, and leftover units getting pushed down closer to mid 4,000 territory just to get them moving. And yet, here is the twist. This bike actually makes sense if you stop expecting it to be something it is not. It is light, easy to manage, comfortable, and surprisingly capable for everyday riding and light off-road exploring. It is not a globe crusher, but it does not pretend to be. This is for the rider who values control over power. And when you negotiate, shift the narrative. You are not buying prestige, you are clearing space. The G310 GS looks the part, but leaves riders wanting more performance. That gap between image and feel pushes interest away from entry-level adventure. Instead, attention moves towards something far more engaging, built for raw, immediate excitement. Number 12, Yamaha MT-09. Now this is where things get a little uncomfortable, because the MT-09 did not flop from bad design or weak performance. It struggled because it was almost too much for its own audience. This thing is a beast. An 889 cubic centimeter triple that hits hard, pulls fast, and feels alive every time you touch the throttle. When it launched, it sat in that upper mid-range price zone, and for the performance, it made total sense. So why is it sitting? Because not everyone wants a bike that feels like it is daring you to mess up. That sharp throttle, that wheelie happy nature, it excited experienced riders, but scared off the very crowd it was meant to attract. And while competitors started smoothing things out with more refined electronics, the MT kept its raw edge. So buyers hesitated. And now, prices are sliding. You will find these dropping into the mid 6,000 range on the used side, with leftover units getting pushed down far more than expected just to keep them moving. But do not get it twisted. This bike is special. It just demands respect. Perfect for riders who want character, not comfort. The MT-09 delivers excitement, but its intensity is not for everyone. As riders step back from that aggression, priorities shift toward comfort and simplicity. That leads to a bike built around logic and ease of use rather than emotion. Number 11, Honda NC750X. Here something strange starts happening. We move from bikes people did not understand to a bike that people understood perfectly and still did not want. The Honda NC750X is one of the most practical motorcycles ever made. Built for efficiency, comfort, and everyday use, it even has storage where the fuel tank should be. Smart, clever, different, And that is exactly the problem. Because riders do not walk into dealerships looking for smart. They want excitement. This bike feels more like a tool than a toy. That low-revving parallel twin is smooth and efficient, but it does not stir the soul. No drama, no rush, just steady, predictable motion. So it sits. And when bikes like this sit, prices start to soften. Right now, these are quietly dropping into the mid-4,000 to mid-6,000 range used, with leftover models being pushed down far more than expected just to clear space. Here's the truth though. This thing is built to last. Comfortable, incredibly fuel efficient, and shockingly easy to live with. Especially with that dual clutch setup, once you get used to it, it just works. This is for riders who actually use their bikes. At this point, you are probably noticing a pattern. Good bikes do not always sell, and bad pricing kills great machines. So let me ask you directly, have you ever negotiated a motorcycle price down further than expected? Tell us in the comments because those strategies might help someone here save thousands. The NC750X is practical and efficient, but lacks emotional pull. When riding stops feeling personal, buyers keep searching. That search turns toward the next bike that trades practicality for character and presence. Number 10. Harley-Davidson Iron 883. The Iron 883 was once the go-to entry into Harley ownership. Low, stripped down, unmistakably American. It looked right. It felt right. And for years, it sold on pure identity alone. But then, the market shifted. New riders started asking for more performance, more tech, more value. And the Iron stayed the same. That air-cooled Evolution engine is reliable, no doubt, but compared to modern options, it started to feel a little underpowered for the price. Then came the real blow. It got replaced. Newer platforms rolled in. And suddenly, the Iron became yesterday's news. And when that happens, dealers get stuck with what is left behind. Now those prices are sliding. You will find these sitting in the mid-4,000 to upper 6,000 range used, with leftover inventory getting pushed down harder than most people expect, especially when dealers want them gone. But here is the twist. It still works. It still turns heads, still delivers that classic cruiser feel. Still simple, still durable. This is for riders who care about style over speed. The Iron 883 proves heritage alone is not enough when the platform feels dated. Once that sets in, value and performance take priority. That mindset shift leads to a machine focused on sharp, modern performance and adrenaline. Number 9. KTM 790. Duke. Now here is where things flip. Most bikes on this list struggle because they are too soft, too plain, too forgettable. This one scared people off for the opposite reason. The KTM 790 Duke came out swinging lightweight, razor-sharp, and absolutely wired to attack every corner. That parallel twin hits hard. The chassis reacts instantly, and the whole bike feels like it is reading your mind, sometimes before you are ready. For skilled riders, it is electric. For everyone else, it is a lot. Because this is not a bike you relax on. It demands attention. Every input matters. Add in early whispers about electronics, glitches, and long-term durability questions in certain circles, and suddenly, buyers started hesitating. Then KTM made it worse. They released the 890 Duke. More refined, more polished, slightly more money, but a lot easier to justify. And just like that, the 790 got left behind. Now it lingers. Now the market has shifted hard. Dealers and sellers are realistically accepting somewhere between $6,500 and $8,000, sometimes less, when a unit has been sitting. This is for the rider who still wants to feel something. Not isolation, connection. At the dealership, bring up the 890. Talk about resale. Mention buyer hesitation. Because when a bike makes people think twice, it tends to stick around. And when it sticks around, that is when the price starts bending in your favor. But here's the twist. What happens when a bike is not too aggressive, not too boring, but somehow still gets overlooked? That is exactly where we are heading next. Number 8. Yamaha Super Tenere 1200. Now we are stepping into heavyweight territory, and this is where things start getting uncomfortable for dealers because the Yamaha Super Tenere did not crash. It just slowly disappeared. When it first hit showrooms, this was Yamaha's flagship adventure machine. A big mile-eating tourer with a 1200 class, parallel twin shaft drive, and long-haul comfort built right in. Pricing landed between $16,000 and well over $18,000, depending on trim. It had the hardware, it had the durability. What it did not have was spotlight, because it showed up in a class ruled by icons. Bikes that did not just perform, they sold a dream. Lighter machines, flashier tech, bigger presence, and while those grabbed attention, the Super Tenere just kept doing its job quietly, too quietly. So buyers drifted, inventory slowed, and over time these big Yamahas started sitting longer than dealers liked. Now fast forward, and the numbers tell the real story. Clean examples are moving between $7,500 and $11,000. Leftover or late model units, dealers are often willing to talk around $10,000 to $13,000 just to clear space. That is a massive shift for a bike this capable, because underneath the silence, this thing is built to last. Low maintenance shaft drive, proven engine, rock solid highway stability. It is not flashy, it is dependable. This is for the rider who rides far, not loud. At the dealership, use its size. Fewer buyers, longer floor time. Mention lighter. Alternatives stealing attention, because big bikes that do not move start costing real money. And when that happens, pricing gets flexible. The Super Tenere shows how even proven long-distance capability can stall when a bike feels too large and demanding for most riders. Dealers expected touring demand, but got hesitation instead. That hesitation pushes attention toward the next machine, something far more approachable, lower, and easier to live with, even if it redefines what a cruiser should be. Number 7. Kawasaki Vulcan S. Here is where things take a strange turn, because this bike did not miss the mark on quality. It missed on identity. The Kawasaki Vulcan S should have been an easy win, a mid-weight cruiser powered by that proven 650 parallel twin, tuned for smooth pull and everyday riding. It is light, predictable, and incredibly easy to live with. When it launched, pricing sat between $7,300 and just over $8,000. On paper, it made perfect sense, but the market did not agree. Traditional cruiser riders wanted that classic V-twin feel, low rumble, old school character. This did not deliver that. At the same time, newer riders were not even looking at cruisers. They were chasing naked bikes and small adventure machines. So this bike landed in the middle and stayed there. Now it lingers on showroom floors. Dealers are realistically letting these go between $5,800 and $6,500 for new units, especially older inventory. On the used side, clean examples drop even further, often landing well below that range. And that is where things flip, because underneath the confusion, this is a seriously usable motorcycle. Reliable engine, low running costs, and adjustable ergonomics that actually fit real riders, not just one size. This is not about image, it is about function. At the dealership, lean into the identity problem. Point out who is not buying it. Because when a bike does not clearly belong anywhere, it tends to stay put. The Vulcan S proves that approachability alone does not guarantee appeal when expectations do not match the category. Riders expecting tradition do not always connect with its modern take. That disconnect shifts the conversation toward identity over practicality and leads to a bike that strips things back visually while leaning hard on premium branding. Number 6. BMW R9T Pure. The BMW R9T Pure was meant to be the simpler way into BMW's heritage lineup. Same classic boxer engine, same old school feel, just stripped back. Clean lines, minimal tech, and that raw mechanical character BMW does so well. When it launched, pricing landed between $10,995 and just under $12,000. Sounds fair until you look around. Because for a little more, riders could step into the full R9, better suspension, more presence, more features. Or they would jump the other direction, Modern naked bikes with sharper performance and more tech for the same money. So the Pure got stuck. Too expensive for entry buyers. Too basic for premium buyers. And that is exactly how it ended up sitting. Now in this market, dealers are quietly adjusting expectations. New units, especially older stock, are realistically moving between $8,500 and $9,800, sometimes with extras just to sweeten the deal. Used models drop even further, opening a serious gap in value. And here's the truth. This bike still delivers. That Boxer engine is proven strong, torquey, built to last. The ride feels honest, mechanical, connected. This is for someone who understands feel, not features. At the dealership, focus on what it does not have. Compare it to better equipped options. Because when a premium bike feels incomplete, it does not rush out the door. And when it lingers, that is when the price starts coming down to meet you. Until now, we have seen underrated commuters, overpriced premium badges, and bikes that were simply misunderstood. So tell me, which one surprised you the most so far? Drop it in the comments, and while you are there, do not forget to subscribe, because it tells us you want more breakdowns like this. Now let us get back to the deals dealers really wish you would ignore. Number 5, Ducati Scrambler 62. This is where perception took over and buried a perfectly good motorcycle. The Ducati Scrambler 62 was meant to open the door. Smaller engine, lighter feel, easier to ride, an entry point into the Ducati world without the intimidation. It carried that same Scrambler style, that same premium badge, just scaled down. Pricing came in around $8,000, give or take depending on setup. And that is exactly where things went wrong. Because riders did not see it as accessible. They saw it as expensive for what it was. That 400 class engine became the problem overnight. Buyers started doing the math. Why not spend a little more and get the bigger Scrambler? More power, more presence, more value on paper. And just like that, interest cooled. Now these bikes do not move the way Ducati expected. Dealers are sitting on leftover units, quietly adjusting numbers. Realistically, new ones are being worked down into the low to mid 5,000 range just to clear space. On the used side, prices drop even further, opening a gap that did not exist before. And here's the truth. This bike never deserved the backlash. It is light, easy to handle, smooth around town. That L-Twin still carries character, just in a calmer way. This is for the rider who wants style without pressure. At the dealership, lean into the comparison. Bring up the bigger Scrambler, because when a bike lives in the shadow of its own family, it tends to wait. The Scrambler 62 shows how going too small can dilute impact, strong styling, but limited performance that quickly narrows its appeal. Dealers are left with something desirable in theory, but harder to justify in practice. That contrast pushes the market in the opposite direction, toward the next machine that offers everything at a price that becomes its own barrier. Number 4, Honda Goldwing. The Honda Goldwing did not become a problem because it was bad. It became a problem because the world around it changed. For decades, this thing was the final boss of touring motorcycles. Huge comfort, buttery smooth power, couch-like seats, wind protection so good you could cross 3 states and still feel fresh. Riders did not just buy Goldwings, they committed to them. But now, dealers are staring at machines that cost as much as a used car, sitting untouched under showroom lights. New Goldwings, especially the fully loaded tour models with DCT, push deep into the $25,000 to $30,000 range. And in today's market, that is dangerous territory. Younger riders want lighter ADV bikes. Older touring riders are slowly stepping away from long-haul riding. And that leaves dealers trapped with massive luxury motorcycles eating up precious floor space month after month. So prices start falling fast. Right now, lightly used Goldwings from 2018 through 2023 are showing up between roughly $15,000 and $22,000 for bikes that once represented the pinnacle of motorcycle luxury. And honestly, the machine itself is still unbelievable. That flat 6 engine feels electric smooth. The comfort is unreal. The reliability is legendary. This is not a motorcycle for bar hopping or social media posing. It is for riders who still dream about crossing entire time zones before sunset. And dealers know buyers for bikes like this are getting harder to find, which means if you negotiate smart, you can land one of the greatest touring motorcycles ever built for a price that would have sounded insane just a few years ago, yet still sitting, because the price alone narrows the audience to almost no one. Dealers are not struggling because it is lacking. They are struggling because it is too much for most buyers to justify. And that reality reshapes the search. Because once riders step back from that level of commitment, they start looking for balance instead of excess. That shift is what directs attention to the next bike, one that promises capability across terrain without demanding everything upfront. Number 3, Triumph Tiger 900. Adventure bikes were supposed to dominate forever. For years, riders could not get enough of them. Tall suspensions, aluminum luggage, rugged styling. Every motorcycle had suddenly looked like someone crossing a desert in another country. And right in the middle of that explosion sat the Triumph Tiger 900, one of the most complete middleweight ADV machines money could buy. An 888 cubic centimeter triple engine with real personality. Smooth on highways, strong in the dirt, packed with electronics, ride modes, premium suspension, and enough touring comfort to disappear for weeks at a time. On paper, it looked unbeatable. But then the market changed fast. Suddenly, everybody was building adventure bikes. Cheap ones, expensive ones, giant ones, lightweight ones. The category became absolutely flooded, and the Tiger got trapped in the middle of the chaos. Dealers started watching these bikes sit longer and longer on showroom floors, while newer competitors grabbed attention. And once inventory slows down, in the ADV world, the discounts start getting serious. New Tiger 900s that once hovered near $15,000 to $17,000 are now slipping into the $11,000 to $13,000 range for leftover inventory. And the used market is even crazier. Clean examples from 2020 through 2024 are showing up between $8,500 and $11,000, many already loaded with panniers, crash bars, and touring extras. And here is the wild part. The bike itself is still excellent. That triple engine is addictive. The comfort is outstanding. The capability is real. This is not for trend chasers. It is for riders who actually use their motorcycles. Riders who care more about crossing states than collecting likes online. And dealers know serious ADV buyers are becoming harder to find, which means your negotiating power right now is enormous. The Tiger 900 shows how even a well-balanced premium adventure bike can slow down when buyers start comparing value too closely. It does everything well, but in a market like this, well is not always enough when the price keeps it from moving quickly. And that is where buyer psychology takes a sharp turn. Because once people realize how much negotiating power they have, they stop playing it safe. They start asking how far they can push performance for the same money. And that question is what accelerates interest toward the next direction. A machine built not for balance, but for outright dominance. Number 2, Suzuki Hayabusa. The Suzuki Hayabusa used to represent something almost mythical. This was not just a motorcycle, it was the king of excess. Massive speed, massive presence, massive reputation. Back in its prime, owning a Hayabusa meant you wanted the biggest hammer on the highway. And honestly, it still delivers that feeling today. The modern Hayabusa packs a brutally smooth 1,340 cubic centimeter inline. 4 with advanced electronics, refined aerodynamics, traction control, ride modes, and enough power to make most motorcycles feel completely asleep. But here's the problem. Dealers are facing the world moved on. Riders today are chasing practicality, lighter machines, and everyday usability. Insurance costs climbed, speed limits tightened, and the audience willing to buy a giant hyperbike started shrinking fast. So these bikes began sitting longer and longer on dealership floors. New Hayabusas that once hovered near $20,000 are now quietly slipping into the $15,000 to $17,000 $8,000 range in many markets, especially older inventory dealers need gone. And used examples, even more tempting clean. 2022 through 2024. Models are already dropping thousands below original sticker prices. But the machine itself, still incredible. Stable at insane speeds. Shockingly comfortable on long rides. Legendary reliability. This is not a bike for beginners. It is for riders who understand what an icon feels like at full throttle. And right now, dealers are more flexible on these than most people realize. If you made it this far, you are not just watching, you are paying attention. So hit that like button. And if you want early access to the next breakdowns and the kind of deals most people hear about too late, consider becoming a member. The Hayabusa proves that even legendary performance can struggle when its audience is too narrow for everyday ownership. It commands respect, but not broad practicality. That leaves dealers negotiating a machine that only fits a specific few. And after moving through extremes, attention naturally shifts toward something more grounded. A bike built for real-world usability, modern simplicity, and accessible value, even if it does not immediately look like a compromise. Number 1. Honda Rebel 1100. And here it is, the motorcycle that explains this entire market collapse better than anything else on this list. Because the Honda Rebel 1100 did not fail because it was bad. It failed because buyers did not know where to place it. Honda tried something bold here. Instead of building another old-school rumbling cruiser, they created something modern. The Rebel 1100 borrowed its engine from the Africa Twin, giving it real performance, smooth torque, rider modes, traction control, and even an optional DCT automatic transmission. It was built for the next generation of cruiser riders. And at first, people loved it. But then the market shifted hard. Traditional cruiser riders wanted more heritage, more chrome, more V-twin character. Younger riders drifted toward naked bikes and smaller machines instead. And suddenly dealers found themselves sitting on inventory that should have been easy to move. That is where things get interesting. New Rebel 1100s originally hovered near $10,000 to $11,000, depending on trim. But now, many are quietly moving closer to the $8,000 range, sometimes even lower on aging inventory. Used models from 2021 through 2024 are becoming unbelievable bargains. And honestly, the bike itself is excellent, comfortable, smooth, reliable, easy to live with. This is not a motorcycle for someone chasing old stereotypes. It is for riders who care about real-world riding. And dealers know these bikes are misunderstood, which means smart buyers suddenly have enormous leverage. And in a market like this, leverage is everything. And the next video goes even deeper, bigger risks, smarter buys, and motorcycles that completely flip what you think you know about value. So do not stop here. Click the next video and keep going. And if you want early access and to support the channel, become a member. And do not forget to like this video.